ladies and gentlemen, my timepiece reads 6:30. I'd like to call this month's Public Works Facilities meeting to order. First item will be roll call. Supervisor Franco is here, Supervisor Miller is here, Supervisor Gama, myself. On the excuse, we will have Supervisor Belsky, who mentioned she would not be here, Supervisor Gray. I have not heard from Supervisor Decker, so I can't comment specifically if she's coming or not.
I think I got an email from her.
Okay.
Think.
Then we have our youth and governance, is that right?
Yeah.
Thank you for being here this evening. Just for our record, do we have one or two youth and governance for our committee here?
Two. Yeah, I think it's two.
Two, okay. Very well. Any citizens' comments at this point? Citizens' comments, you have 5 minutes to speak. If they're willing to say anything. You're a citizen, you can be a citizen. All citizens. Seeing none, we'll pass on that item. We'll go on to approval of minutes for the previous meetings. I would assume you've had a chance to review the past minutes, and I'd ask for approval. Move to approve.
Second.
Approved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 When was the last meeting?
Go ahead.
When was the last meeting?
I believe our last one was a workshop.
November 19th.
November.
Oh,
Yes.
that's 2 months
Yeah,
ago.
because we skipped the summer. We didn't have anything significant, so back in the set, we're getting here in June. Chairman, committee members, supervisor, youth and governance comments. I don't have anything at this time, so anything else from committee members you'd like to bring up or discuss at this point, we can do. Seeing none, we'll go on to the next item, which is facilities, division, special reports. Mr. Breitbart.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple updates. The shingled roof project at Brookside is complete. The gutters took a little longer, but that's all taken care of now. We improved the ventilation into the attic. It was terrible when it was originally built, but we still have some ice standing problems. So we're going to look at maybe some insulation of some of the things that produce heat up in the attic, some of the HVAC stuff, but the roof itself is done. The Kemper water infiltration repairs, 2024. We had a little extra money in there, so there was some wood underneath the eave, 20 plus feet long in each direction, and we thought, you know what, let's just replace it while we're here. We took it off, and all the bricks were missing behind it. From that, at least that tall. They were removed at some point. The mortar's there. We don't know why. Because we were under budget, we actually had enough money and we had a window of opportunity weather-wise right before Christmas to replace the bricks in there. So we're not going to be losing all that heat anymore. Yeah, it's.
Those bricks are hard to come by, I understand. Is that right?
Well, Cream City, yes, because all the clay is gone now and up in Milwaukee. So, but as they tear down old buildings, they save the ones that are good. So you can get them, and they're not all the same size either, depending on when they were made. So yes, we can get a hold of them. In that case, they're behind the woods, so we didn't have to be too picky.
That's true. Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. They are, we have to get them from people that salvage them from other places.
So detail us, how many courses of brick were you missing?
Actually, if you count the full brick, there's 2 bricks and like a half to cover up that. So yeah, 2.5 bricks
And what length of span are we
over
talking?
20 feet in every direction.
Okay,
I've got pictures.
sure.
It shocked us. I mean, but it kind of shows you how they didn't take care of these buildings before.
Okay.
They just did it, whatever was the cheapest way. They probably didn't have the money. I can't say, but yeah, they cut corners. So now, lesson learned with that, anywhere that there is wood underneath there, now preemptively, because we were judicious with the budget, we saved the money, we're having Berglund go and check that out now, well ahead of the project. They take the wood off and make sure the bricks are there, and then we're gonna They'll prime and paint the wooden doors and then reinstall it. Actually, KCDC HVAC replacements phase 3 and phase 4, as Chairman Brady had asked me to do. Phase 3, we have 3 different rooftop units for 3 different dorms there. Phase 1 of that was complete back before the end of the year. Phase 2 is where everything's installed. They're making everything, double checking all the controls, which are pretty sophisticated. Matt Storino with his HVAC experience has been with this project too. We're looking at commissioning on next Thursday. So, and then because we can only shut down 1 dorm at a time, then they have to move everybody over. We're coordinating all this with the Sheriff's Department. They've been really good to work with. Then we'll go on to phase 3. That'll take probably just under 2 months. So we're counting on February and March for that. Also, because the codes have been updated, not only do we have the rooftop unit and the VAVs, the variable air volume units, but we also had to add smoke exhaust purge. In other words, if there's a fire, you just can't let the doors open and let everybody run out. They'll actually purge the smoke out of the area. So, and then once we get that done, they'll move the inmates back into that. And then that's phase 4. That's the final phase of this. We already have the units. We pre-ordered it. And that'll take about two months, April and May. And that should complete the project.
So when that is completed, hopefully we're done by April, May. Are they then looking at doing roofing on that building?
Yes.
And that would be for what, the following construction season?
Yes. And Matt has an excellent program where they go up in the spring and they inspect all of the roofs. We've been able to get, based off of them, they inspect and they fix anything. So if they go up there and say, you know what, we were lucky enough on a couple of roofs, they had their eyes on it and said, you know what, this can last a couple more years and not put too much money into it, but we'll see what they say, but we've got it on the schedule to be replaced.
So for benefit of committee members, as much as you have an inventory for roads need repair or this or that or the other thing, we also have a roof inventory for every asset in Kenosha County. Life expectancy, timeline for replacement, and so forth. And of course, it would not make sense to do roof work on a building while they were still doing the HVAC on top, just doing tools and, people walking around up there. So it's kind of following this progression. If you want more details, Frank.
In fact, Matt put it in the budget because it's been 10 years since they did the last
Survey?
Yeah. So he put in the budget for them to resurvey all of them. So to get an up to date. But you made a very good point. I learned that from the roofers, especially. Have them trample all over a new roof. They drop their tools, sheet metal shavings and stuff. They step on, it'll go right through the membrane. Have them do that. Oh yeah, screws. Oh yeah, I picked up all kinds of stuff. Have them trample all over the old roof. Have them put all the HVAC up there and everything on the old roof. Then put the new roof on. You get a lot more years and a lot less problems. Again, that's another lesson learned. Continuous improvement.
Because these are not small units, they're actually bring a crane out on site. You see the crane with the big arm, and I'll put that on your talk. Several tons on the roof at one time, plus all these associated personnel. So it's kind of thing.
Yeah, they go anywhere. I mean, one on Brookside's almost as long as this room, a little less than half the width. The smallest one is maybe a quarter size of this room. Yeah, these are big units, so that's why we do what we do. Brookside generator replacement. We've got the last of the equipment should be delivered in May, but they're going to start outdoors with the civil work, digging and pouring the pad. Actually, along with the delivery of equipment, also We Energies, it serves both Brookside, Willowbrook and Brookside. We need to do a shutdown and they want to preemptively, preventive maintenance, change the 25,000 volt ground mounted switch they have for that area. So we'll do that shutdown and it just happens to work out with, they want Bradford to be out of school and with our equipment coming in and the timing. So right now, tentatively have June 16th for that shutdown. And that's where we would disconnect the old generator, reconnect the new generator. We Energies needs about 8 hours. We should have our new generator hooked up in about 3 hours. We estimate 4 at the max. And Brookside already has in place their plan to, we'll probably have breakfast that morning with everybody, the residents, and then move them over to Willowbrook, which will be on their generator, till we get our generator up and running. And then our generator will be powering the entire facility. So they'll move them all back there until We Energies gets theirs up and running.
Interesting. Any other areas affected besides Bradford and our campus there, Willowbrook and Brookside, associated residences?
I'll go back and double check, but those were the 3 main ones.
Right.
Just going through ceremonial courtroom, we're full blast with design. We're trying to get the design wrapped up and the bids out by the end of March. Tragically, the lead architect we had on this project passed away unexpectedly, 57 years old, just out of nowhere, traveling in a Uber to jury duty and didn't feel well, and I have to drive her to take her to the emergency room and she didn't make it. Just tragic. So we're carrying on and we'll try to hit the deadlines. So underground, the PSP underground gasoline and diesel fuel tank designs and the island were gassing up by the PSP for all their sheriff and police squads. We released that bid again. If you remember last year, we sent it to bid. It came in higher than our budget. So then we put more money in the budget and right away we got it out on the street. And we had a lot of contractors show up for the walkthrough. We try to get the bids out as soon as possible so that their books are empty and they're hungry. That bid is due back on January 29th. We put the bids out for the Kemper envelope water infiltration repairs for next year, again early, try to get them when their books are empty and they're hungry. That bid is due again January 29th. Kemper shingle roof replacement. That's right where the bricks were missing, so we had that going on. Plus we prioritized Brookside and Pringle. So with all of that and the weather closing in, we're probably going to wait till spring for them to do that to make sure we have the right temperatures, working with the shingles. And then the next area is the Kemper roof replacements. For this year, we got that bid out early and those bids are due on February 20th.
Questions for Mr. Martinelli? Just update us on the generator out this window here. When's that set to be online?
So we've got the generator came in and we set it. It's the automatic transfer switch. And we also added a manual transfer switch so that if that generator for some reason died, we could bring in a portable generator, hook it up and power everything. Those are the ones that are taking longer. We're looking at March right now, so it looks like it'll be an April startup.
So we have the automatic switch here, or that's on order?
That's on order and the manual one's on order.
Okay.
Those actually, funny enough, like Brookside, the same thing. The generator came early, they have it in storage. It's these custom-made
So
units.
so it's switch gear and installation that is yet to be done.
Correct.
So we'll say March, 20. Good, anything else for Mr. Martinelli? Seeing none? Thank you, Frank. Next on our list is Golf Division, Mr. Wallace.
Thank you, Chair Grady. As you know, it's the duty of this committee to approve the rates that the golf courses are going to charge for the next season. Does everybody have that in your packet? I have hard copies here if anybody needs one. The key thing to point out is that not exactly looking at apples to apples. I apologize for that. The 2024 daily rates are pre-tax and the 2025 proposed rates are post-tax. Now, our goal in this was to post on our website what the customer is going to pay, so they see exactly what they're going to pay. And also, it's going to clean things up at the register for our staff and streamline things. Definitely, when people pay cash, it'll make it go quicker. So the goal in this was to streamline things at the register. I do have, and you'll see some of these rates went up, some actually went down. So for example, Monday through Friday, 18 holes was $26. After tax, that came to $27.43 in 2024. We have it at $27 in 25. The $35 one below that was $36.92. We have that at $38. The $20 was $21.10 after tax. We have it at $22. So some went up, some went down. Overall, no major increases. The one thing I want to highlight is that we have eliminated the riding adult value golfer and adult senior value golfer. So that's the season pass where you could get a card unlimited. That's one category we took a really hard look at. We found that we had some folks that averaged about $7 per round of golf last year on that season pass. And we found overall the season passes were roughly 4.5% to 5% of the revenue and 25% of the rounds of golf. Now, it should be a value, right? It should be a deal, but we're just trying to bring that gap a little bit closer. So what we're proposing is to keep the walking season pass at the same price and discount the cart use for those people that do have a walking season pass. And by our calculations, you can play roughly 55 rounds of golf before you're paying more than you paid in 2024 for the riding package. So those that ride more and those that pay 200 rounds of golf will get our revenue out of that. Our average season pass holder isn't really paying any more money. So I just wanted to highlight that's the main difference you'll see in all these rate changes. Everything else is pretty small and it's basically adjusted by the change.
So if I understand correctly, what you're saying is with the golf rates, we're just rounding it up or rounding it down to make it simpler at the cash register.
Correct.
Don't go pennies, nickels, dimes, etc.
Correct. Even amounts. Correct.
In terms of the usage for the cards, did we have times where we ran out of cards? We didn't have enough cards available to us because we had people using privilege so much?
Yes, typically, not all the time, but 5, 6, 7 times a year, which is why we increased our card fleet out at Brighton.
Okay.
But yes, that does certainly happen. It's happened a little bit at Petrifying Springs, usually when there's an outing or something. But it does happen, absolutely.
Other questions? Go ahead, Supervisor Meadows.
Do you track where people come from that golf on our course? Do you have any information about that?
We have
Out
some.
of curiosity.
So at Petrifying Springs, we see a very localized, it's 1 or 2 zip codes for the most part. Now we can get the odd. Brightondale, the last time a study was done, I think they found 10 zip codes primarily that folks were coming from. So a lot more so at Brightondale than at Petrifying.
The reason I don't know a lot of the history of the golfing in Kenosha County. Would it be worth exploring the idea of giving more of a discounted price for Kenosha County residents versus people coming from outside? It's our golf, we're paying for it, we're maintaining it, we should give our own residents a little bit of a discount. Is that, I don't know. It's just an idea that I had just as you were talking about the rates. Has that
Yeah.
ever been talked about?
Yeah, we've discussed it. I discussed it all the time. We discuss it all the time.
Okay.
And it's sort of a double-edged sword because,
Okay.
you know, we do want people to come into our county and get fuel and spend money. So we don't want those people to feel like they're being punished. We also thought about doing a Wisconsin resident discount. So it is something we continue to talk about. We certainly haven't decided anything concrete at this point, but we've talked about various ways to make sure that the people of Kenosha County are. And right now, we do it by keeping our prices low in general. So we did a comparison.
Yeah.
And, you know, for example, we're less money than Evergreen over in Elkhorn. We're less money than Black Sheep or Shepherd's Crook, which is just over the border, significantly less. We're actually a little cheaper than Ives Grove. We're much lower than Hawksview and or a little higher than Johnson Park. So we looked at some comparable places and find our prices to be very competitive, given the quality of the facilities as well. So we feel like we're sort of doing that for everybody right now, but that is something we continue to talk about.
Awesome. And you make a good point, because what's happening is golf seems to be in somewhat of resurgence. There's more people playing than there had been previously. And yet, right in this area, we're down 3 courses. We're down South Hills, we're down Maple Crest.
Yep.
And Crystal Oaks is TBD, to be determined. It's a struggling enterprise over there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it comes to the point where we have unprecedented demand and we have to do a kind of a thing, yeah, maybe we would give our residents a bit of a break and have the outsiders pay a bit more. So
Absolutely. I think that's a good point you make, Doc. If our prices have to get to a point to stay on par with where everyone else goes, then I do think that would be a time to do something like that. But for now, I think overall, we're still very competitive, if not less than everyone around here. So
awesome.
yeah.
Anything else on the rates as far as this part of the presentation goes?
I don't recall the exact wording of the agreement that we have with parties, but is this price change is gonna affect the agreement that we have with them?
Negative. So they're basically the junior package, is what we do for Parkside.
Okay.
And so the 95 after tax was, $100.23. So that, and their agreement actually stays in effect through the spring golf season. Their agreement will be redone prior to the start of the, fall golf season.
Yeah.
So no, that won't affect. Please. Yeah, it's all done.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Ken. Anything else on the fees? Seeing none, we need a motion for that?
Correct.
So taking a motion to adopt the fees as presented this evening for 2025 full courses, Petrifying Springs and Brighton.
So moved.
Moved, seconded. Any discussion on that? Youth and governance can go first. You can say aye or nay. What's your preference?
Aye.
Rest of the committee? Any opposed? Seeing none, passes unanimously. Thank you. What else do you have for us in your report, John?
Golf simulators are chugging along. That league at Brightdale continues to grow, so things are very good there. We spent some time looking at some options for POS systems and websites this year, just making sure that we're operating the courses responsibly and always put the microscope under certain aspects of our operation. So we do want to make some changes to our website after doing some exploring out there. There are some better products, but the cost of those isn't something we can justify at this time. But we will look into taking some of our marketing budget and doing some upgrades on our website, some drone footage and things of that nature. Getting ready to probably hear, if it's anything like last year, we need to get ready to go, but I feel like it's not. It's another odd winter though in southern Wisconsin. No issues in our scouting of the turf at this point. We do get a little concerned when it gets as cold as it did and the turf doesn't have any snow insulating it. That snow actually does provide a little bit of coverage from those high winds and things can dry out and desiccate, but in our scouting, no concerns on anything right now. The Red Pines project is complete. We just have to grow the grass in the spring and we expect to be able to open with a normal spring. I'm not sure what that even is anymore. But hopefully by May first, we're playing golf on the Red Pines course and using the driving range. But, once we get through winter and get out there, get a good look at everything, I'll update that and probably our April meeting, I'll update the status of that project.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Would you detail a committee on the practice improvements for Brightondale and what that is specifically?
Yes, so it started with the need for the driving range. The driving range was very shrouded, surrounded by trees and also very short. A lot of with modern golf clubs and modern golf ball technology, the golf ball could go all the way through the driving range onto the second hole of the Red Pines course. So we wanted to move that back. We had to clear some trees to do so. We also shifted the angle of that, so it's now a safer facility. We also have more hitting bays. You can actually see where it is from the pro shop. And then we added a second putting green, just for one putting green for for two 18-hole golf courses and a 9-hole golf course was certainly not adequate. It was over traffic, so adding a second putting green was certainly needed too.
Good. Thank you for your report.
Yep.
Anything else for golf? Very good. Thank you for your report, Jim.
Thank you.
Next, Parks Division, Mr. Wyatt Moore.
All right. Thank you, Chairperson Grady. So what I have for you guys is a vendor permit agreement for Whatever Water Sports to conduct kayak and paddleboard sales at Silver Lake Beach Park. So what this is, and I brought it to the committee a couple of times, so forgive me if you've covered this before, but what it will be is a self-serve kayak and paddleboard station. So any park user can come up and they can use the QR code, scan it, and rent a kayak paddleboard. We did do an RFP. So we had 3 proposals. This one we felt had the best balance of not costing anything up front and also the best revenue share on the end of it. So what we estimate is that based on what we might be getting in sales, and it's tough to say because our numbers are going to be vastly different based on the increased amount of time slots that people can reserve a kayak or paddleboard for, but there should be no change in revenue. We should roughly make, we're thinking maybe $5,000 a year in sales, which is what we bring in now with our current operation. So that is what we're presenting today.
Questions on the lease space at Silver Lake Park for paddleboards and what else?
Kayaks and paddleboards.
Kayaks and paddleboards. And I think you may be seeing the diagram on your documents there. It will be located in the beach area, just a little bit away from the parking lot, very easy access there.
Yes. And the biggest reason we're looking into it really is to alleviate the amount of work on the lifeguards. The lifeguards are currently doing the kayak and paddleboard rentals. We do own some at the county. And what we're finding is that we don't get to offer as many opportunities to people to rent because lifeguards they're busy lifeguarding. Once we get a certain number of beach users or people on the beach, we want to have our lifeguards focused on safety. So yeah, at the moment, there's certain times during the day when we're the busiest where we would normally get the most amount of sales where we cannot provide that service. So this will help alleviate that.
So in a way, it's kind of a continuance of the things we do in some of the parks, a lease agreement between private enterprise, beer garden, one example, and public park. And under the right circumstances so far, knock on wood, it's worked out well. Public is served, kind of makes a little bit of money on it, and kind of enhance the whole quality of the experience for people that visit the area. But now is an appropriate time if you have questions or comments to bring them up. Is this something we'd like a motion on?
Yes.
Okay, so I'd entertain a motion to have this new agreement with the new vendor be in effect for is it a 1 year? What's the lease term?
The lease term on this one, I believe the first term is 5 years. Double check. It should expire on December 31st, 2028.
Okay, we've got a 5-year contract. I think that was the salient point, so all those in favor, motion first.
Motion to approve.
Motion means second, comma, that was in that order. Moved and seconded. Further discussion? Seeing none. Youth and governance?
Aye.
Committee members, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Seeing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. In terms of my reports, not many updates from when I submitted to you guys. We did have the public information meeting for the Midwest Interstate Trail on the 22nd. In my opinion, this one went a lot smoother than last time. We did have one gentleman who was at the first meeting who wanted to come and voice some of the same concerns, but this go around, we had KL Engineering put together a presentation that addressed a lot of the concerns that folks had. So this one we had, and compared to the first one, about 4 people in attendance. And other than the one gentleman who came from the first meeting, they were all positive. So we had people who came by really just to voice their appreciation for the project and wanted to see what the scope of it would be. But the presentation, in my opinion, went quite smooth, and KL Engineering is moving forward with finishing the feasibility study. That is the last public information meeting we're doing for that one. The Old Settlers Park Playground is close to finishing the design. I have some here if anyone wants to see it, but that one should be done hopefully by this week is what I'm being told. So we have there's more of a circle so kids can run around and enjoy it, but it's also positioned in a way where you can still see the stage. So if we're at, for example, we have Rhythm on the Lake shows, kids can not only be at the park, but they can go up there and watch and sit and enjoy it as well. And we're also having more ADA improvements added to this park. So this particular one, or this playground, is going to have port in place at some of our more ADA accessible fixtures on the playground so that kids can wheel up through the new asphalt path that connects to the parking lot all the way up to the playground. And it's also going to include a transfer slide so that you can wheel up to it, go up on the slide and continue to go down without having to get back onto your chair and wheel over, as well as a wheelchair rocker. So if you want to wheel over to that, you can go onto it, and it's sort of like a swing with folks who have mobility challenges.
And that's at Old Settlers.
That is Old Settlers Park, correct.
And that will be functioning.
Our goal is to have it done by the end of the summer. You don't want to have our current playground ripped up during Rhythm on the Lake. So if we can get it done by spring, that's my secret goal. Don't tell anybody. But based on timelines, we might not be able to start construction until after the event season. And speaking of event season, I attended the village meeting of the whole. The Village of Powder Lake, Rhythm on the Lake is approved for 2025. So we're going to have all 10 shows back at Old Settlers Park this year.
Sorry.
And those are all the updates I have for what I submitted. If anyone have any questions?
Questions for parks to this point?
Did you mention what is the event in October? Oktoberfest, Old Settlers, is that gonna be?
Oktoberfest. Oktoberfest at the moment is not moving forward. And that's actually tied to the playground. So the folks who did Old Settlers Oktoberfest, they actually started it's more of a fundraiser than just an event. And they have been collecting over the years significant funds to make improvements to the park, which is where that band shelter comes from. So Old Settlers Oktoberfest last year, they closed up. They no longer want to do the event. So the parks did not participate in any of the planning for that event. That was all them. And what they did is they took what was remaining in the account and they actually donated it to this playground, which is why we're able to do some of these new ADA features. Yeah. So we're thankful for Old Settlers Oktoberfest, but it's not moving forward this year unless someone else wants to step forward and plan that event. It is a large scale event, and we consider it a very big job for someone to take that on.
Anything else for parks or on the subject? I probably have 8 or 10 things. I just can't think of anything. So a lot.
One thing I did sort of forget to mention, not really an update because it's in here, but we do have the bid documents coming together for Pike River Phase 3. So we are planning to start pre-bid in February.
Okay.
So I've been working with Shelley on that one as well. So if I'm not around, if I'm on paternity leave at that, I do still plan to attend it as long as he's not, my wife is not giving birth on that day. I should be there. Otherwise, Shelley will be there as well.
Very well. Thank you for your report. We appreciate that. We'll see you next month. Now it's Highway Division's Mr. Greg Bull.
Thank you for the time here. Yeah, so obviously the biggest kind of operation at highway during the winter months is kind of waiting for the snow in this particular case this year. Not a whole lot of what we consider significant snow events, but just enough to be kind of a difficult year to plan around the forecast. And even a dusting of snow can create havoc on our roadways. So even with these smaller dusting, these smaller events, we are dispatching crews out to add salt and do what is needed to try to keep the roads just as safe as we possibly can. So that's obviously the biggest focus, within our division right now. Outside of that, we're doing a lot of stuff getting ready for design and bidding, to get projects ready to go in the spring and the fall. You know, our crews are busy when they're not doing, snowplow stuff, doing crack filling, trimming brush along roadsides, filling potholes, doing like roadside feature repairs, guardrails, signs, that kind of stuff. So that work is ongoing, but we just don't have some of the large scale construction projects going on during the winter as we typically would. One thing I did add to this, last report was just a little bit, fleet. It's always in the budget. I know people actually wonder when some of these vehicles are being ordered, even though getting in the budget, getting built slots of locations at times when, these trucks can actually be built by these manufacturers, is difficult. It's not only building it and then outfitting it, right? So you get it, it's just the chassis, then it has to go to another place to get all the plows and dumps and everything on it. So, we do anticipate 2 single axle trucks to be delivered by the end of this month. Those are actually 2022 trucks, I believe, the 2022 budget. So yes, it does take, 23 budget. I think the 23 budget truck. So it's been taking that long to get build spots. Wow. For some of these vehicles. Outside of that, again, just some projects that we're kind of getting ready, to go here is the KD radar speed sign, and then a multi-use path project on Long County Track Highway C. If there's any questions, I can answer them. Otherwise, that's all I've got.
So you're anticipating delivery of 2 new single axle trucks?
Yes.
So those like 1 tons or?
No, a little bit bigger. So they're like dump trucks, but they just got 1 axle on back.
And that will be,
Hopefully the end of this month. Yeah.
that's out of the 2023 budget?
I believe it's a 2023 budget truck, if I remember correctly. Yes.
So what else do we have in the pipeline that we're still awaiting delivery on?
Well, so we are gonna, our fleet manager, our fleet supervisor is meeting with our operations team, actually, I think this week yet,
Okay,
to kind of go through the budget of,
so bring that for next time and we'll go over.
yeah, as far as like things that are easier to get, like skid steers and that kind of stuff. The trucks, those are the hardest to get. So again, we're anticipating getting 1 triaxle truck in production in the first quarter of 25, so this quarter yet.
Okay,
But that we won't get delivery of that till the 4th quarter
right,
of 24. And then another truck is to be built in the 2nd quarter of 25, with the 1st quarter of 26 anticipated delivery.
so it's the triaxle dump?
Yes, so they're all the dump trucks, the large dump, the plow trucks that you see on the roads. We have single axle, tri-axle tandems,
Right,
and quad axle, so different sizes.
right,
But those are the most difficult things to get.
right. Longer lead time.
Long lead times, whereas all the other equipment, like we've got skid steers and some other stuff in the CIP, that stuff is typically easier to get, and we're just working on getting those orders placed so we can get them here this year.
Comment for us, if you would, on personnel. How are you doing in highways with vacancies, this, that, the other thing, what do you got?
So, yeah, so, we, Highway Patrol, which is a team that is out in the field, we have 2 so we did interviews just before the holidays, put out 4 offers from that. And we had 2 accept, and 2 didn't work out. One of them actually started today, and I believe the other one starts in about 2 to 3 weeks. So that will leave us with still 2 vacancies in our true highway crew team. We will be short 2 people. Mechanics, we did get a resignation of a mechanic in this past month. So we are currently down 2 mechanics. And 1 mechanic is on leave, so in theory, we're kind of almost out of it.
So are those posted on?
Yes, so, the highway patrol, I think we've, kind of gone through everybody that was that last recruitment that we thought was justified. So if I have to do a new recruitment for that, the mechanic, I believe, we are trying to go from the previous recruitment that we did just hire one to see if there's still some possibilities in that recruitment process.
So are those a bit harder to fill, the mechanics, rather than just how it fills them more difficult?
Yeah, just do, there's a lot of market pressures with that regarding what a mechanic can make out in the The private field, what they can make, has been a struggle, to be honest with you. And just the skill set is different, right? So yes, mechanics are harder to find.
So not that we have complete solutions here, but any friends, neighbors, relatives with CDLs or truck mechanics who like to see them here, use their services. Anything else for highways?
It was 22's budget for the single axles, and then a large sum of the 23 money for the triac. What's coming up this year?
So you can see how far we are behind from the time that it's budgeted to we actually take it.
Well, that New Orleans is trying to buy plow equipment.
Houston, New Orleans, probably
right.
Jacksonville.
Thank you.
Thanks for clarifying, Chris. Appreciate that. It's good. Good. So that concludes the highways. Thank you, Greg. Let's go into facilities with Mr. Matt Storino.
Thank you, Chairman. So a few updates on all the projects. Quite a few came off the report last month or last November. So starting with the courthouse, the south entrance and ramp renovation, that construction is scheduled to start in the spring. So a little bit of a law, but it did ask for submittals and a construction schedule from Bukacek on that. So we are still moving along with that project, but we're not anticipating construction until spring. PSB elevator hydraulic cylinder replacement. We had our final purchasing review last week. Bids should hit the street this week. And we were planning a pre-bid meeting for the 11th of February. So that's the one where the jail car for the old jail car for the jail at the public safety building failed. So right now there's a second elevator next to it. They have to go through a different entrance and kind of jockey over. It's a little extra time for them to travel through, but we are getting by. Jail staff is accommodating for us. That moving along. The next one, building access and hardware replacement. Actually meeting with contractors next week for a pre-construction meeting on that one. So actually tomorrow, 28th. So that's moving along. That one replaces all of the hardware and all our door controls. So a few years ago, we had a project where we did all the firmware, all the brains, all the technology up in the cloud that was replaced. This is actually doing the hardware behind the scene, the control boards and those relay controllers and stuff. So that'll start this year. We're going to start with the safety building and the courthouse and then move to Brookside, kind of hit those 24-hour facilities first, the more critical ones. And then next year, we'll have a phase 2 of that, and we'll encompass the other buildings in the county. And then for the housing project, placement at KCDC, we're moving ahead with pre-bid meeting on that one. Pre-bid meeting is going to be the 4th. Drawings are hit the street this past week. The city did come back with a letter giving us, I guess, denial of zoning on a staff letter. But we're following the court's order and we're going forward with bids on this.
Okay.
So yeah, those are my updates. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
So Bukacek has the courthouse south entrance and ramp renovation as their project.
Correct. Yep.
And that is a fairly sizable project. That's what, 40 million?
Yep. It is. Yeah. It's a lot of labor, a lot of work to do that. You're coming in for that ramp, that kind of long angle. There's also some plumbing work done. If you've ever been to the courthouse after it rains, the entry at the top there actually kind of holds water, so it has some drainage and that stairwell as well.
Well, good to have that one. Drummond is just such a front and center thing that's very so obvious. Anything else? Oh, how are you doing on your staff?
Good. So we were short a few custodians. We have hired some temps to kind of fill in. But we did make 2 job offers this past week and we did get acceptance on those.
Okay.
So we have second shifters starting at the courthouse. We have a temporary custodian that's been working at this building. Should be making an offer for a full-time county position. And then we did some internal moves, moved some staff to Brookside, and we're going to have a filled role downtown Pacific Center. So we're doing well. We're kind of in that same boat as Greg is with our maintenance techs and custodians competing against this market here. We're competing against Uline and Amazon. We're kind of in that market, so it's tough, but we've had a really good pool of candidates this last time around.
As long as you're on the subject of parks and golf, you probably already started your recruitment strategies for your seasonals, right?
Correct, yeah. So over at Parks, we first start by going through our previous year's roster and calling all those individuals. Most of them are high school students, so this time of year, it's a little hard to get a hold of them during work hours, but we start there. And this year, we're actually expanding. So normally we go to Wilmot and then we go to Wisconsin Central. We set up a sort of presentation in the lunchroom. So as kids come through, we can engage with them, talk to them about what kind of work opportunities we have. And we also do in-classroom presentations. So we go to things like your workshop class or your career studies class, which is becoming more and more popular. We'll do a presentation there as well. This year, we're expanding to the east end of the county as well. And we're looking at doing Bradford and Harborside Academy.
Good.
To try and get just a more, we'll say a bigger applicant pool, so we can pick from on both ends, not just on the west end. So we are starting that. In fact, I met with Jordan, who's our west end superintendent this morning. He's already calling folks to see where they land. Our first recruitment day, I believe, is February 10th.
Okay. Now, previously, there have been programs with the city of Kenosha for disadvantaged youth, parks and so forth. I don't know if they did golf or not. I think it was mainly parks. Is that still a functioning program? Or is that not happening?
I'm not sure exactly which program that would have been. I know that we utilize WizCorp, and we also have, so WizCorp is very similar to that. It's work placement. So you sign up with WizCorp and then you end up with us. The other one, forgetting the exact name of it. So that's something. There's one that it used to be a much bigger program, and we still do work with them, but they send us less and less children.
Okay.
I think this year, in terms of youth that we work with, was maybe 5 to 6, but they usually work with a counselor. So you're assigned, it should be one counselor to every 2 students. They are bussed into the site, and they'll do tasks that we see that they can accomplish without too much oversight, painting picnic benches and cleaning and so forth.
And what about you, Jim? Are you going to be staffed up for seasonals or how's it?
Yeah, so we're, our postings will go up on February 10th. I met with HR today about that. And, we'll go to, some of those. We recruit a little, typically above the height. We'll go to the fairs at Gateway and Parkside, and things such as that. But yeah, we're getting ready.
So any committee members that have, friends, relatives, sons, daughters that need seasonal employment opportunities abound here in Kenosha County. And generally, it's a good experience. I've had many students over the years telling me, yeah, I really enjoyed that summer job in Kenosha County, whatever it was. So it's good things there. So,
Yeah.
Anything else, man?
No.
Questions for Mr. Storino before we move on? Thank you for your report. We'll see you again next month. Public Works Department Review, Shelley Billingsley.
Yes, I only have a couple of quick items. I will be helping Frank on taking the lead for the KCC renovation project. As you can see, he's got multiple projects on his plate. And with the unfortunate passing of our architect for ceremonial courtroom, I think this will allow him extra time in focusing and getting the new architect up to speed on that project. So we also will be entering an application for APWA Project of the Year. It's going to be a parks project for Veterans Memorial. So please keep your fingers crossed for us. We will hopefully hear that in, I believe, fall timeframe. Newsletter.
What's that again?
So we received an APWA Project of the Year award for County Trunk Highway EM and County Trunk Highway S last year. So each year they ask for submittals. They go in for Wisconsin chapter, American Public Works Association, and if chosen, they will sometimes get forwarded on to nationals. And then you could have an option to win the national APWA Project of the Year.
What's an award type? So
It's an award, yes.
both regional, local, and then for the big show.
Yes. The county exec has asked me to include, the county board on my newsletter releases for DPW. Those are released quarterly.
Sure.
So if there are any back issues or issues that you want to see, I think our last one was done in early January. So if you'd like to see some, just let me know. I can get the past episodes out to you or past editions. And at that time, that's all I had at the moment.
Any further comments and questions by this committee? Seeing none. Just to talk about future meetings. We've had the habit of going around to different facilities and seeing them and so forth. Sometimes, winter weather can be a little bit more complicated. We stick to, a little bit more tried and true. So I think that for February, I don't really have a place that I think would be appropriate to go and visit unless committee members have some type of, thought we might very well be here again for February. But perhaps March, maybe we could go to,
Yeah, that's certainly a possibility.
you'll still be operating your simulators at Brightendale.
Yeah, and even if we're open, if we're at 6:30 PM, it'll be dark most likely then, so, we should be able to make that.
So perhaps one of the county courses for March meeting will take it on advisement and post it. Seeing no other business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
For second, and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You stand adjourned, thank you.